Richard Holloway, the landlord of the Purple Emperor pub here in Harlow. Energy bills on the horizon. Are you concerned at all?
Yeah, I think everyone's concerned. And with the pending rises and stuff like that and stuff we've already seen, there's going to be a knock-on effect at some time. I don't think some of the national scaremongering about £20 a pint and things like that's going to come to fruition. I mean, it's always could or possibly would or something like that, but you know, obviously there is going to be impacts, which is a shame because certainly within the industry we're in right now, you know, the pub industry suffered massively with COVID. It's starting to recover from that. I don't think it really needs another hit through energy prices rising.
So secondly, how is business? I mean, you've been here a short time, but
yes.
The Purple Emperor, always been a popular pub, but how's things going for you?
Okay as it goes, yeah. We seem to be getting a good, you know, there's always had a good core of regulars. I mean, it'd be a year ago, they'd vacated, but that was down to a previous management. But they've seemed to have come back, and we're also getting a lot of new people coming as well, which is really nice, a lot of new faces. You know, and I think that's always nice, and people vote with their feet, don't they? They tend to, there'll be a reason they come back. So, you know, we're obviously doing something reasonably okay.
Yeah, and it's, 5 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon in a busy pub. So, do you have to sit down with your wife and look at your bills and have projections of what could be, might not be when it comes to future bills?
It's very hard to predict what's going to be in the future, and I'm not exactly Septic Peg at the end of the day, or Mystic Meg. I think the reality is like we're keeping a close eye on things. So our biggest worry is we don't want to start outpricing ourselves either. So we've got to keep everything on a even keel. We've got to be competitive, but as I say, this isn't just us. It's every other pub in Harlow that's be facing the same problems. So you know, and trying to keep that competitive. Prices, stuff like that. But again, you know, it's something that's out of our hands. You know, you can't say tomorrow it's going to cost X. We don't know that.
Some businesses, restaurants, bakeries, pubs, have contacted the local MP, Robert Halfon, and appealed to him. Is there any appeal you want to make to people like politicians?
To be fair, look, the politicians, you know, I think there's a lot going on at the moment of where people are, you know, so there's a lot of, from what I feel, national scaremongering from the media. Because I say, there's a lot of this could, should, would.
Because it's not £25 a pint here, isn't it? How much is it a pint here? Is it just
pint of Foster's is £4.20. All right, you know, but again, you know, we're trying to remain competitive, but you know, you're also competing against places like Witherspoons, but again, they have a lot more buying power than we do, so they can obviously do a cheaper pint. So the competition's quite tough for pubs that are out of town. But again, people, like I say, will tend to go with where they want to go, not necessarily the cheapest place.
You wrote a letter to the editor to us a couple of months ago, and you almost sort of use it or lose it as an appeal for people to use their local pubs.
Yeah, you know, I also put on there that, you know, anybody in the game, they work extremely hard to provide an outlet for people to come and enjoy themselves, be part of the community. You know, and a lot of that was also to do with the fact that the clock house had been shut down, and there's obviously to do with trouble, etc., stuff like that. And if people are abusing these places, we do lose them, and we've lost quite a few pubs in Harlow, and they'll never return. You know, I did list a few of them in that article. You know, people, you know, it is a good place for a community. It's hard enough, I think, where the demographics have changed within communities as well. You know, it's the idea of going out and socialising in a pub isn't what it used to be. So, you know, we've got to look after these things. You know, otherwise if they disappear, they will disappear forever, and you will lose that community hub. You know, which I think is just an absolute shame. I really do.
Can you bring it back though? I mean, you have bands here. Is there certain elements? I mean, this pub used to have a football team.
Yeah.
You know, and do you think you can bring these things back?
Yeah, we're looking into them. We're also looking into a golf society as well. So yeah, football teams, dart teams, all that sort of stuff. It's the bands, as you say. We've got one on this Friday night as well. Alibi this Friday. So, you know, it's, as I say, the pub is becoming busier and busier, which is really nice, but it only takes, I don't know, somebody to come and abuse the place. Like we've seen stories on your Harlow of various other places, or people fighting outside, and suddenly the pub starts to get a bit of a bad name, which is a bit of a shame, because it's not always the pub's fault, it's the people misbehaving outside the pub. Yeah, and of course the pub gets associated with it, which I'd say I don't always think that's the fairest of things.
So finally, going back to the energy bills, you're being quite cautious.
Yeah.
Not necessarily optimistic, but let's just see what happens between. It's only the last day of August between now and the whole winter, as we go and approach it.
I mean, hopefully things will ease. I'd imagine, okay, we've got a new Prime Minister coming. Whether or not, he or she will do anything that will benefit, but I kind of think something's got to give. I'll be surprised if it doesn't, and the government doesn't do something. As I say, it isn't just this industry. There's industries and businesses up and down the country which are going to be affected. Ultimately, that will people's jobs, etc., stuff like that, way of life, poverty. So yeah, there's a whole load of things there. And I don't think any government really wants that to happen.